the fixed mindset and why it's so important to change it. Fixed mindset is basically an irrational mindset of your beliefs that are not factual. They're based on other things that were either told to you or you perceived them when you were very young. It's that little voice inside of you that tells you that you can't do anything, that you're not worth it, that you can't succeed, and that something is wrong with you. That's a fixed mindset. It is a negative foundation. You can't build your life and yourself and evolve if you are trying to build on a irrational mindset, because it's not true and it's not stable and it's not conducive for success. So why would you not want to change it? I know it's a little scary. It sounds a little scary, but living with the fixed mindset and feeling crappy about yourself and not having self-confidence and not having the ambition. I'm not sure that you may have the ambition, you may know that you can do it, but you can't quite get there because you're held back by that little voice inside of you. That's your fixed mindset. You need to get rid of that in order to evolve and to become the best version of yourself. It's not that difficult, but it does require a commitment. So if you're ready to start, let's get started. So how was the fixed mindset created? You might be wondering that if you don't know. I don't want to spend a lot of time with this because it's not something that I personally believe there is value in, because the end result is still the same and the way to fix it is the same. So I don't like to look back and reflect too much on negativity that brought me to become a wounded child and with a fixed mindset, because I can't change that. You can't change what happened to cause you to have a fixed mindset. You can't. So why do we need to revisit that? That's kind of that's my personal belief. I don't believe that anybody, gets true value out of sitting around and reflecting on things that happened in the past and how it hurt you, how it, whatever the damage was. My thing is I want to fix the damage and move forward a better person. So that's what I teach and that's what I share, because that's where the value is. At least that's my opinion. I need to be careful. That's my opinion. I just don't want to live in the past. I want to look forward and I don't want to look back. And you can't move forward if you're looking back. So, however you got there, it's kind of irrelevant. It really is. And that's part of the whole, forgiveness process and healing the wounded child process. But I'm just talking about fixed mindset. Very specific fixed mindset where you have a foundation of negativity and pain and low self-opinion, low self-worth. You may be just, struggling and not really, understanding how to fix it, but you don't know what's wrong with you. You're blaming yourself. Stop. I want to help you fix that so you can move forward and you can become the authentic you, and that's where you're going to become the best version of yourself. But by doing that, you have to change your mindset. You have to get rid of that fixed mindset and that core belief that you believe is real about yourself, because it's not true. And you have to convince your brain of this, and you have to reteach your brain. And it takes time and it takes commitment. Every day you have to dedicate 10 to 15 minutes. But I'm telling you, it's worth it. Because if you stay in the place that you're in, it's just a vicious cycle. You're not going to evolve and grow. So the difference between a fixed mindset and a growth mindset, which the growth mindset is where you want to be. If you have a fixed mindset, that means you have that little voice inside of you telling you that you're not good enough, you'll never be able to achieve anything, you shouldn't do this. It's repetitive negativity. So we want to undo that and replace it with the growth mindset, which is where you will evolve as a person, get to know the authentic you, and that's where you're going to shine. And that's where you want to be, because that's a rational, logical place for you. That's where you belong. The fixed mindset is a negative, false foundation for you, and that's why you can't seem to get past it. So that's the difference between fixed mindset and growth mindset. Fixed mindset is negative. Growth mindset is positive. Growth mindset is obviously where you're going to grow and evolve, and it's kind of endless, and it's where you need to be in order to be the best you can be. So let's not look backward. We don't need to, because how you got here doesn't really matter. I'm not minimizing anybody's pain, but it doesn't matter in the process of fixing it. We don't need to reflect on it. We don't need to beat it to death, because there's no value there. When you're living with a fixed mindset, you're going to evaluate things differently. And there are 4 dysfunctional ways that people with fixed mindsets evaluate different scenarios. The first one is demandingness. This one is a big one because it causes a lot of problems with other people and in relationships, as it should. And I want to make sure I cover this one extra carefully because a lot of people miss it. They do. Demandingness. What is demandingness from the irrational mindset point of view? Basically, the way that the person feels is that their needs are not being met, and that's across the board with all the dysfunctional ways that they assign things, meaning to things, meaning to events, meaning to, scenarios. And that's what gets fixed mindset. People with fixed mindsets get in trouble with this because they're not doing it correctly because they're broken. Their brain is operating from a negative standpoint. When you're in a negative standpoint, everything is worse, right? We all know that. It's always worse. Well, when you're living with a fixed mindset and your foundation is negativity, it's magnified. And not only is it magnified, some of this stuff is just created from a place where it's irrational. And that's why it causes so many problems. Keep that in mind because I want you to pay attention to the 4 that I list and what they are so that you can pinpoint and decipher which one or which ones you have. And it could be one, it could be all 4. The remedies are always the same. So the fix is always going to be the same across the board regardless. I mean, we're going to alter it just slightly to fit that scenario, but it doesn't really matter if you have 1 or 3 or 4. It doesn't matter. It doesn't make you worse. So don't think that. It's just part of having a fixed mindset. It is. It's part of it. It comes with the territory. So don't feel bad about it, but let's fix it. Awfulizing. What kind of word is that? And what is it? Well, it's pretty simple. It's when something, not so great happens or, something along those lines. And you take it and you make it into super drama. Meaning it's the absolute worst thing that's ever happened. It could not be more horrific. Calm down. Stop doing that. Life is full of hardships, peaks and valleys, ups and downs. If you over-dramatize every little thing that happens, you are wasting precious energy and precious time on nothing. And what happens is when you start making something that negative, negativity breeds negativity. So what you're doing is you're taking something that really doesn't matter in your life, ultimately it doesn't matter, and you are making it a catastrophe, which then you start thinking, oh, well, what if this and what if that? And it perpetuates and it snowballs. And pretty soon, poof, you have this big, imaginary, huge problem. So it's really not even a problem. It may be an inconvenience, but it's not a problem. It's not an action item. So don't make it an action item. Life is full of difficulties and tests and everything else. And if you make every single one of them, these major hurdles, you're never going to get to the finish line. So stop focusing on the negative and think about the positive and remind yourself, in the course of my life, does this really matter? And stop over dramatizing the little things. Okay, discomfort and tolerance. Now, this one is going to sound kind of, weak because, let's face it, life is uncomfortable. A lot of times, a lot of days. But what I'm talking about is when you make extreme decisions because you can't tolerate certain things because it makes you so uncomfortable or so upset. Like, leaving and never going back, or stop doing something that you normally would do because of one little thing that makes you just, that's intolerance, discomfort and tolerance at its worst. And that's what happens when you're dealing with a fixed mindset. Like me, I have horrible road rage. Horrible. Every time I get on the highway, I think of all new words, and I wish I remembered them because I could probably write a book. Oh, it's bad. I mean, the words that come out of my mouth are just horrible. But you know what? I don't hold on to that. And that's the key. You have to learn how to just deal and get through it and not make big decisions. I don't decide I'm never going to drive again. No. I mean, that's just foolish, right? And that's life-altering. Don't make decisions. Don't make life-altering decisions based on momentary anger or disgust or discomfort. And if you're doing that, you need to fix it.